Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Season 2, Round 2 of the MadDog Racing League. My name is Olaf, aka Wops Racing, and today I am joined by my co-com, Ali.
Good evening, man. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic myself. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I'm very good. Looking forward to a interesting race around here at the Jeddah circuit tonight.
I mean, it's obviously going to be interesting. It's Jeddah. When is a Jeddah race not interesting? Format for today, qualifying 18 minutes. So there's 18 minutes for all the drivers to set their lap. And then we have a 50% race, which should be 25 laps around the street circuit in Saudi. And I believe we're going to see some interesting tactics today. Because we've checked, we've looked, we've researched. And there could be some interesting calls being made way at the start of the race already, but also during the race, because as you know, Jeddah street circuit prone to something that's called a safety car, and it can happen early, it can happen late. And if it happens early, there's only one strategy that's going to enjoy this. As we call it, Halo for Zen, first driver out on track in the Red Bull. And the strategy that would enjoy all of the goings-on of a safety car that's early would be people that run a soft tire early. And those drivers will have to spare one in qualifying. So that's the thing that we're going to see already very early on in the track. Quickly going to open up the track map and the lap data so you can see on the bottom right of your screen where the drivers are. On the track, green bits for the DRS zone, the green circles for the DRS detection point. Big points for this race, of course, as it's a very long track, long straights. You see the Red Bull going off the track already. Luckily, it's an out lap, so that's all allowed. And Ali, quick question: what's your go-to strategy for Jeddah?
Yeah, for me, I mean, if it all depends on what happens on track. You know, if there's a safety car, it's going to throw opportunities up. But I think the natural strategy is going to be your medium, hard, medium. But certainly, there's no reason why we can't see guys starting on the set of softs, going on to a set of hards. You can make these softs last. You know, if you're good on your tires, you can make them last. There's not a lot of difference between the mediums and the hards on the actual strategy itself. So you can extend the mediums as well. So it wouldn't surprise me if there are some mixtures of strategies, shall we say. But certainly, I think for out and out race with no instance or safety cars, then I think probably medium hard be the way to go, but who knows, around here we are talking about Jeddah.
Exactly, and as we saw, the Red Bull already being impeded down into turn 1, as I believe there's an AlphaTauri who went out of the pits and exactly into the way of Halo, who then went off the track. I didn't see the lap go invalid, but that should not be a legal lap if you go that far out of the bounds. And we seem to take a lot of curb as well, and there is quite some off-track going on there. I don't know if you noticed that one, but that seemingly is taking way too many curbs and also across the white lines, so quite unsure. Still setting a purple sector there, going very deep into turn 22 and 23. So that's definitely going to be an off-track, but seemingly that still seems to be fine. As we're heading into the final corner and the benchmark will be set. DRS detection point right there, going to be a big mark during the race for the DRS games that will be played, and they should be played as well. DRS open onto the straight, and the pole time for now, the time to beat, a 1:32.1. We're going to see this lap time drop most likely very quickly.
Yeah, I think Scotty's about to beat it.
There we have it, a 1:29.9 for the Haas driver. Currently in third place in the standings, carrying Haas into fourth, as Ferrari's had pretty good finishes all around, putting them in third place. And if we do look at the standings, we see that's pretty close. We've had one round so far with Falcon in the Red Bull taking the lead of the championship and also giving Red Bull that lead of 3 points over McLaren, who are currently in second place with 22 points, who are then leading Ferrari again by 3 points. So it's all very, very close and all to play for.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what you think, Waps, about the ultimate lap times around here, but I think we're still a way off what we should be doing. To be honest, I think we should easily be hitting 28s.
Yeah,
if I'm totally honest.
There's definitely some factor of track evolution also at play here. We've got 18 minutes, so there's a lot of time still. About 12 and a half minutes for now, but throughout the 18-minute session, we should see at least some form of track evolution, and also drivers maybe just setting out a banker, not giving it their full, as Scotty might have something more in the chamber, as we see here. Scotty probably going on an in lap right now. And curiously enough, we have 10 drivers on the grid. We have 2 Red Bulls. We have, of the rest of the teams, I believe, only 1 driver. Oh, 2 McLarens as well. And so we're missing a few teams here on the grid. But overall, Red Bull with 2 drivers should easily be getting the standings now, right?
They should be. Just looking at the Mercedes driver of Escatit. He's just gone purple sector 1. So see what he can do in sector 2 and see if he can nab that purple sector as well, which is going to be coming up shortly. As there we go, we can see the times. Oh, and there you go, straight away, almost a second knocked off of Scottish time. And Escatit has gone purple sector 2, so he is looking to improve on that 29.0 of gaming as well. So we should be hitting these 28s now, which I think we should be doing. To be honest, we should easily be hitting 28s, early 28s into 27s without a shadow of a doubt.
We're going to see the Mercedes cross the line now, and they put in a 28.8. So that is a pretty good lap here as a banker for the first time out here in Jeddah. We've got 3 drivers still on an out lap now, one of which is Falcon, who won the first Grand Prix out in Bahrain last time around. And we're probably going to see a good performance there. Should be setting the benchmark as well, but we have the pole position, which went over to, if I look correctly, went to Aaron McNeely, who is not in the race today. So pole position is still anyone's bet.
Yeah, and we have a Ferrari on a set of Inters. So
a Ferrari on a set of Inters.
How this Ferrari does on his outlap on a set of Inters.
I believe this is a strategy that's been done many times before. His drivers going out the first lap on the Inters to make sure that their setup is correctly loaded. That's mostly to drivers that want to make sure that their differential and their brake bias and everything else is all set properly. They go out on a set of Inters to not waste a set of softs if anything is wrong.
I totally understand that, but we are nearly halfway through the session.
That lap probably should have come out right out of the bat.
If you're going to do that, do it straight out the box. You know, you've wasted nearly half your session, and you've just gone out on a set of Inters, and that's all you've done. So, don't quite understand the strategy there, to be honest. And yeah, not something fair, I'll be doing. Put it that way.
We have seen drivers stay in the box until the final 2 minutes, so they have a lot of time. Oxlade has a lot of time, so the Ferrari can still go around, as there's 1 minute 30 lap time. So even at 3 minutes, if they go out at 3 minutes, they can put out 2 laps in total. Yeah, 4.5 minutes, I should say, because there's going to be a cooldown lap in between as well. So there's a lot of time still remaining, but yeah, generally going out on Inters to make sure everything is working, especially in more expensive setups. So you have the direct drive wheels currently in possession of a lot of new drivers. They sometimes have the tendency to not work at a full 100%, as my wheel also has done earlier on in the day, where my shifting was clearly not working and I had to reboot the entire thing during my qualifying session. So that is one of the reasons why drivers go out on the intermediates, to make sure that everything is correctly set up and working. As Falcon, current championship leader, will be going over the line and puts down a 27.5, and that, Ali, is the lap time you were talking about. Low 28s, and he absolutely smashes it going into the 27s.
Yeah, cracking time, exactly as I expected, to be honest.
If we look at Oxlade, he now is indeed out on a clean set of softs, so no tire wasted, getting everything set up, and the Ferrari should be the last driver to set a lap. We have the McLaren setting on an in lap that has just set 1, so he'll be in soon, and we'll be able to see the first driver out in just a moment. That should be the Aston Martin of Aleander. Just rounding the final corner, not taking all of the space. Might be a little bit scared of that final corner. Seen a lot of drivers there as well hit the wall and get their car absolutely completely ruined for the rest of the session. Take that turn 1 and 2 pretty well, using up all of the track. And there's a yellow in sector 3. That is just for Falcon slowing down on his in-lap.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Falcon's time as well. You know, if that's going to be representative, 1.3 odd seconds ahead of P2. Wow, we're going to see quite a spread within this field. Not something I'm used to seeing, but it's going to be a big gap. So Falcon really setting the benchmark yet again, and you know, putting stamping his authority on his race win last week.
I was just about to say, because if the gap between P1 and the final slot on the grid is already about 5 seconds, if you have a 1 minute 30 lap time, 5 seconds in between, you're going to be lapped by about halfway through the race.
Yeah, that's
just on pure
unreal
pace-wise. Like, that's going to be crazy. It's going to be a lot of effort for these drivers to catch back up and get some good times in, as Aleander is also going to do his best, is about 3 seconds down on pole position, all the way up in P6. That's a very, very, very big spread. Going up to the line now, would improve up to P5, gains an entire second, but only 1 position.
I don't know. I can't get the massive time difference. Like, how can you lose 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds in a lap? It's yeah, let's see how this race pans out.
Oxlade jumps up to second place with a 28.1. Another one of those great lap times, low 28s that you were talking about. 6 tenths below Falcon, so it seems like he's found some competition. He's got a second Red Bull as Halo. The first driver to set a lap now out as well on 1. We're going to hop on board real quick. In the top right of your screen, you can see the sector that they're in, the tire they're on, and their current lap time, as well as the delta to their previous lap time as soon as they cross a timing line. So if you look on the minimap, you can see a tiny white line which divides all of the sectors. And as soon as Halo crosses one of those lines, he will be right now on the top right of the screen. You can see he's 2 seconds down on his time. So this might actually be a mistake early on, which has sent him to back out of his lap and maybe try again. If you look at the screen, his ERS is completely empty.
So I'm watching the same on Gaming as well. Gaming's just started a lap in P5. Just started a lap. And he didn't have his ERS off on his out lap. So now he's burnt his ERS starting his hot lap. So he's not going to improve. He's 7 tenths down in sector 1. I don't quite
might just
understand what is going on here.
Might just be the explanation as to why the gaps are so big between P1 and all the way down to P5, which is about 2.5 seconds already. Might be drivers just not utilizing their ERS properly. Halo now going into the pits, actually, so backing out of that lap and backing out of the session completely for now. Just looking to enter down the pits. And Gaming now 1.5 seconds down after sector 2. Definitely not the lap that he was looking for. Should be 1.5 seconds the other way of his lap time, but unfortunately not the case.
Yeah, just watching P3 as well. Escatit, he did the same. He's used a lot of ERS on his outlap, especially towards the end of his outlap. I mean, yes, I know. Obviously, you want to be opening it up for down the straight to actually start your lap, but has used an awful lot of ERS. He's only just over a third of the way through the lap and already nearly used half of his ERS, but has gone purple sector 1.
Well, that's going to be a beautiful sight once he crosses the line. Most likely rear wing open down in sector 2, crossing the timing line a 10th up, which is not looking like a purple one to me, as he'll be improving his time for now. Needs another 6 tenths to be able to pass P2 and line himself up for the front row. But Oxlade and Falcon both out as well, as Asbotadi also in the McLaren on an outlap, trying to get that front row or maybe even that pole position out of that time as well. But if P4 wants a pole position, currently needs to improve by about 1.5 seconds. Then Escatit going up by half a second and slots in right behind Oxlade in the Ferrari. So not able to get to that front row.
Yeah, he hasn't got there, but it's made it a bit closer, because we did have quite a, as we've been talking about, quite a gap between the drivers. So that has made it a bit closer. With him, we just need P4 and P5 to gain a bit of lap time as well on their final runs, and hopefully they can do. We have the current pole position provisional guy of Falcon out on track on his outlap as well, and just watching his, I can see what he's doing. He's prepping his outlap perfectly. So he's trail braking through the lap, although he's not at the moment, but it was trail braking through the lap, saving his ERS. So Falcon, obviously a guy who knows how to prep a lap.
Yeah, and by trail braking, you're basically heating up the brakes, heating up the tires from the inside, taking less of the load from the surface of the tire, where you usually see drivers heating up, where they're weaving from left to right, as famously shown by the safety car lines, the conga lines as we like to call it, from the real-life F1, and of course all of the other drivers will be doing that as well. And the trailing of the brakes heats them up from the inside, which takes off a lot of load of the tire, makes the tire last a bit longer. So if you're on a clean set of softs, or even a used set of softs, it's very beneficial to take that braking maneuver. Falcon 1/10 off of his fastest lap so far. Oxlade was on a lap, but decided to let the Red Bull pass. So that's very interesting, because Oxlade is now not able to get another lap in. So might have made a mistake and backed out already and decided to not delay it any further. The Mercedes of Escatit now in 3rd place, solidified by sitting in the pits. Falcon got a little bit of time left to get his pole position even further stretched ahead. That is a purple sector 2 from what I can see. Scotty going over the line in 7th place. From 3rd to 7th now all locked in. Next driver over the line will be Falcon. And if he can improve on his time, Oxlade certainly can't. So this front row seems to be set in stone as well.
Yeah, Falcon might just well box and save a bit away on those softs, but decides to carry on.
Oh, almost identical lap time as well. Half a tenth difference. And Rapster now
not even that.
Also down on his lap.
Yeah, I mean, he could have just come in, to be honest.
Darren's lost his front wing, so something happened on his lap where he lost the wing. Will stay out and actually finish the lap. 1:43, definitely not a lap that he'll want to watch again. Halo is on a faster lap, currently almost 4/10 faster, which would put him up into P7, surrounding the final corner and opening up that flap right there, which he does right now, going over the line, and unable to see how far he jumped up, but we will be able to see his place. 7th place. 7th.
There you go.
For Halo on the starting grid. So Red Bull's got himself on 7th place and also 1st place. Here we see the gaps and the grid for your race today. Falcon in 1st, Oxlade 2nd, Escatit lining 3rd, Asbotadi following up and filling up that second row. Gaming in 5th, Aleander in 6th, Halo, second Red Bull in 7th, Scotty in 8th, Rafster in 9th, and Darren down in 10th. The gap from 1st to 2nd is half a second, and from 1st to 10th, 4.7 seconds. That is the biggest gap I have seen recently. And if you look between P8 and P9, that's almost 2 seconds.
I think that's the biggest gap I've ever seen. I think it's the biggest gap between P1 and P5 I've ever seen, if I'm honest. So
it's 1.5 seconds.
The field is spread out. Let's see how the race goes. You know, anything can happen, but certainly that there's going to be some pace differentials in the race, shall we say?
Yeah, most likely.
But who knows how this will pan out? So let's keep an eye on it and have a look at the. I mean, I obviously do my thing as I do. Have a look at the back office stuff and have a look at the strategies and the timings, etc. And shall certainly feed back to you during the race.
Yeah, thank you, Ali, very much for all the technical side of the info, as I'll be focusing more on the on-track action that we will be seeing, and we hopefully, at least, will be seeing from these 10 drivers on the grid. And we can see some stuff already happening, because when they line up on the grid, we might be able to see what the starting tire will be for all the drivers, and that is going to tell us a lot of information on how they're going to be driving for this race, as the formation lap is a go, and Falcon is in first place. And we see 3 different tire strategies. We see Falcon and Oxlade on the front row starting on the mediums, Esketit and Aleander on the hards, Asbatadi, Scotty and Darren on the soft. So they'll be looking maybe for an early safety car and box for the hards to get the one stop early and basically sit out the hards while sitting at the back of the grid. So it's going to be a very interesting look. All the medium runners might be looking for some versatility down, see how long the mediums can last, and then sit it out on the final set. So if they burn down way harder than expected, they can move over to the hards to make that final stint last longer. And if they can last the mediums for longer by lifting more, which I suspect Falcon and Oxlade might be looking to do, as the pace difference is so big, they might be able to just take it easy and lift and coast more through the corners, save a little bit of fuel as well while doing it, save the tires, and then go from mediums to softs. It should be possible if you get the management right.
It's possible, but we're already looking at Falcon doing weaving in P1. So there we go. See it again, slight bit of weaving again. So it's not going to do his tyres an awful lot of good doing that, to be honest. But what it can do is, especially for Esketit in P3, we've got less cars on the grid, less chance of a safety car, more actual racing and more track action could actually help the people on the hard tyres, because, as I say, the chances of the safety car will be a lot less, so they can run a lot deeper into the race and could potentially come back towards the end of the race as well, as they are coming up to the line. Lots of weaving going on again. But I shall let you take it over for the start laps.
As for getting all the drivers ready on the grid, Darren in the McLaren at the end on the soft, looking to maybe get a good launch off the line and set some mistakes from qualifying straight and get an absolute blaster of a start in Saudi at the Jeddah circuit. Final car slotting in as we're waiting for the 5 lights to go on and back off to indicate the start of today's race. Esketit lining up in the second row with a very good view of the start. 5 lights are on and we're away at Jeddah. Oxlade getting a pretty good start, not able to catch Falcon, and their top 2 are gone. Esketit looks to have a very bad start in the Alpine of Gaming, pulling through up to P3. completely. Asbatadi looking to have something as well. Now Leander takes away the scraps as they go side by side through turn 2. And Scotty looking to be side by side with Halo and taking that P7 down as well. As Halo goes off the track, looks to gain quite an advantage. And Scotty going very wide, but gets the position done in the end. Falcon still in P1, Oxlade P2. And Gaming pulling up into P3 with Escatid dropping out and getting that P4 handed to him. And there's quite a big gap already as Asbatadi looks at Ascend on the inside with that soft tire. He's got so much more grip, able to pull it on the inside. The outside's got a bit more speed to carry through, but that hard tire is simply no match for the softs. And Asbatadi in the McLaren gets P5. Clean overtake through the inside. Got the room, took the room, and got the place. Very, very nice job. And we see the top 2 pulling away already from 3rd place. Gaming trying his hardest to pull in. I can't see the delta between P1 and P2, but I can't imagine it's more than a second as there's no DRS just yet, but we will get that on lap 3. And way at the back we see Rafster missing out on that, and Darren going into P9, and there's quite a big gap between P9 and P10 currently as the overlay, the delta, showing something else. So I believe that that is a slight issue on what I'm seeing as Asbatadi gets the final corner exit absolutely right and gets P4. Escate dropping down another position. So the Mercedes driver not happy currently with this tire. Definitely dropping back quite some bit.
Yeah, so I mean, from my point of view, I'm just looking at some of obviously the opening lap times and positions that have been changed, etc. The soft runners haven't really made the ground that we thought they might have done from the start. So they'll be certainly looking to maximising those soft tyres as early on in this race as they can do. But certainly out in front, I'm trying to currently look at the gap from Oxlade and Falcon, which is on my screen at the moment messed up, but I'm sure that's probably just under a second as it stands. But they're certainly pulling away from P3 already with over a 2-second gap.
Now we see P4, P7 and P9 all improving one position, I believe, from what I could see in this graphic. Yes, so Asbatadi actually staying in the same position. Gaming getting 2 positions by also overtaking the Alpine, but the soft runner of Asbatadi actually does gain some time. He's very, very close to that Alpine. And Darren in the softs is up into P8 now, with Halo dropping back, getting overtaken by Rafster in the final sector, going through the final corner. Falcon puts in the fastest lap as Asbatadi gets 3rd place, sticks it around, and does make it work. So these softs are actually gaining a little bit more at this point. Scotty also very close to gaining another position. So we might actually see the soft runners pull away a tiny bit, but the gaps have now settled. And we see that Oxlade is 1.7 seconds behind Falcon. So Falcon's got a pretty comfortable lead. And Asbatadi needs to make up for 2.5 seconds to be able to catch that P2 and make the soft run work as Scotty grinds that curb, goes over it, and absolutely demolishes the time. Loses about a second there. And is now out of DRS range of Aleander. So we'll have to gain some more time. And luckily, it's approaching Sector 2, which is a very fast-paced section. Now the soft tire doing a lot of work and gaining some time there, already down to 1.1 second, and he should be within a second on this detection point, which he is not, so he won't be getting the DRS just yet. As we look forward to Gaming in the Alpine, currently 3/10 behind Asbatadi, looking to open up the DRS here on the back straight and get the overtake done in the final bit. Asbatadi on the soft tire does have the better grip, but the soft tire currently no match for the DRS. Around the outside, the Alpine goes, sticks it around, hits the wall ever so slightly. Got a very good run. The soft's just a tiny bit stronger. DRS flap open, and the Alpine should be able to make a look around the inside here for turn 1. Does indeed go up the inside of Asbatadi, who's still keeping it in. Got a very good send into turn 1, defending very well that 3rd position. And currently final podium spot as we're 4 laps into the race. And we can actually see some very late braking for the Alpine, giving the McLaren a tap, sending him off the track. And the Alpine might have some damage. He gets overtaken by Escadit, who goes up into 4th place.
He's got damage. He must have damage, and also to add more. Oh!
Asketed absolutely ruining it, getting sent off the curb, off of this overtake on the middle of the track, and the safety car indeed is out. You see it into turn 1 of the track. Rapster now looking at
and that has saved.
Well.
I'm just going to say, Waps, as well. That has saved Gaming, because I don't know if you noticed, but Gaming had already ditched all of his ERS within 3 laps of this race. So absolutely demolished his ERS, and as you can see now, if you can see the graphic, he's on 30% now and building it back up. So Gaming very, very aggressive on the ERS, and that's certainly going to save his battery life as we go forward after the safety car period.
And for looking at the tire strategy, we see a few soft runners still alive. Asbatady, Darren, and Scotty. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to go in already, trying to sacrifice their track position to go onto the hard tires. And I believe there's only about 18, 19 laps remaining after the safety car period. You should be able to finish that on the hards. And Asbatady thinks the right thing. And Scotty going in as well. So the only thing we're waiting for currently... Darren will be staying out on the softs.
Ooh,
so that's an interesting tactic. Got to be taking that track position, as Gaming looks to be in as well in 7th place.
He's in
to repair that front wing. Indeed, we did see that collision.
He's gone on to another set of softs.
So Gaming did not actually start on the soft. He was on the medium at the start of the race. So he did.
Okay, he's gone on to
medium softs. And
so
that's very interesting.
Another set of mediums, probably.
Because this soft set does not last the entirety of the race.
No,
the hards
no.
will.
So,
and we see Gaming clipping the wall onto turn 3.
And he's out.
That's the second DNF of this race. The Alpine is out. So the wrong strategy call in the end doesn't matter, as Gaming is also out of this race. We've got only 8 contestants remaining.
Oh my god, wow.
Luckily, the safety car was already out, so there's no need for a second one. But that is a very, very interesting move there, to get a DNF under the safety car. Not many people can accomplish this.
Yeah, I think he's just misjudged the wall and clipped the... It was the inside of the wall, wasn't it? I think he's just clipped the inside of the wall too much.
He might have just been a little bit too aggressive on the steering.
Sure it was the inside. Was it the inside?
It looked like it was the inside. Yeah. Might have looked like you said, looked like a stroll action, clipping the inside and then losing the wheel.
He's done a stroll and literally just snapped the wishbone and the front suspension off the car, and the wheels said no, I can't put up with that, and gone flying off, and he's out.
So that means that the safety car will be going on for a little bit longer, as Rapster and Halo currently have stopped onto new hards, which is going to help their case. And Oxlade going in, the Ferrari on the mediums, thinks that this is the right lap to go in. Will be losing all of that track position. Might be getting ahead out of Rapster and Halo in the end still, because they're rounding the final corner now. Going on to the new hard. So
we have a ghosted Haas.
Ghosted Haas.
Is that a Haas? No, it's an Alpha Tauri. We had a ghosted Alpha Tauri then, going down the pit straight.
I see Oxlade getting out into last place, so we'll sacrifice second place track position for that hard tire. We see Darren still out in the soft, so this hard tire will have to last towards the end of the race, and that's probably what they're gambling on. That's what Asbatady is gambling on, currently in 4th place. The second McLaren on the grid, but his teammate Darren right in front of him on the softs will be able to pull out a tiny bit, but Asbatady is the first driver who does not have to stop anymore.
I think we do need to have a check with the league owners as to the actual settings within the race, because I'm convinced they have pit system, pit release on, and I'm convinced that corner cutting is on easy. It's not on strict as it should be. So I've got a feeling that there are some settings that are very driver friendly within the league. We
That
just
would
need to confirm
explain.
what the settings are, but the amount of corner cutting I've seen and no one's picked up a penalty or even a warning as far as I can see from race director, which I'm totally shocked at because I mean I've seen some straight lining of the chicane and everyone's getting away with it, which is just unbelievable.
That
But
would explain a
we shall
lot of
see.
what we've seen in qualifying as well, where drivers be absolutely shooting across the track and then
Yeah.
getting a valid lap out of it. So that would
Mm.
explain a lot. But if we're looking at strategy for now, as Potato, the first one of the drivers that have pitted, Scotty moving over to the medium tire, so might look to set another lap of another stint of softs towards the end, or like you said, another set of mediums once we're looking towards the end of this race. But as Potato, the one in favorable position, does not have to pit anymore if you can keep these hards alive. All the drivers currently lined up behind the safety car, so this should be the final lap, and the safety car will be going in this lap to go racing again at lap 8 out of 25.
He's definitely in a good position, but I do think the pace of Falcon, for example, you know, he'll be able to pull out a bit of a gap, I think, even now, and still be able to box and then come back at the end of the race. I just think his pace is far superior to anybody else's as it stands. So although Aspadade's in a very good position, I think come the end of the race, it's still going to be Falcon's race to lose.
Currently on the medium tire has Aleander on the hard tire behind him. Same age tire, so Falcon will have a little bit of an advantage as the medium has not dropped off yet, or should not have dropped off yet, because of this safety car that's been going for about 3 laps now. So only been racing about 4 laps on that medium compound. So that means that Falcon should be able to pull away early on very easily, and Oxlade's the one with the pace all the way at the back. Started P2, pretty good pace compared to the drivers around him, and should be able to pass everyone around him on just that pure pace, and Falcon the one to pull away.
And I think Darren could have, I mean, if there's another late safety car, Darren could put himself back into this, but I think he's on the wrong tyre currently at the current, you know, position the race that we're at. I think he's on the wrong tyre, and I think he's certainly going to have to either stretch those softs out as much as he can do, or go even more aggressive and to stop them here. But we're about to get underway again, Waps.
As Falcon has indeed got the control of the speed of the grid, and he has gone right before the finish line. Aleander very, very awake. Darren, not so much. His teammate Aspatadi already on the inside, already passed, and Scotty passed as well. Darren not able to defend anything that's going on behind him. Halo currently in 6th place, keeps that just barely, and Darren losing out in 2 positions. Aspatadi, the one that we were looking at earlier, as Scotty goes very wide into that corner there, and we have some more off tracks there from the Halo and from Rapster. Halo going sideways as with contact with Oxlade, loses entire front wing, has to limp back to the pits, and holding up Rapster for just a tiny bit more. And Aspatadi, the driver to watch, currently in 3rd place, holding on to the pace of the cars in front. Aleander on the same compound, just a little bit older tires. Aspatadi should have the advantage a little bit. Oxblade already around the outside of Darren. The soft tires already falling off after 7 laps of running. And the Ferrari driver from 8th all the way up to 5th on that restart. An amazing job from him so far. And Falcon already pulling away as expected with that softer compound. And Aspatadi's not going to have it easy. He's got Scotty right behind him as well in the Haas, looking to get the overtake done on a compound softer. So I was going to have a lot of help with that to be able to catch up. But Aspatadi will have the slipstream on the final sector, looking to go on the inside into the final turn. Does get the move in and not out just yet. Yes, he has passed the Aston Martin of Aleander.
We've got Halo off as well, Waps. We've got Halo off. Halo's off. Lost his front wing at the back. The Red Bull driver is off. Lost his front wing. Also saw Darren going off as well in the chicane in sector 2. and somehow again managed to straight line the chicane. Oh, and Halo's just put it right. That's confirmed it. Halo's coming into the pits and absolutely smashed into the pit wall. It ghosted him back into the pit lane and managed to carry on straight into the pits. Didn't DNF him.
That is a very, very strange occurrence there. As Aleander is
just saw it.
He's trying to get back at Asbatady, but we'll have Scotty behind him on the compound software ready to pounce as well. That looks like a very, very close move already. So the Haas driver should have this DRS flap open in Sector 2. So we're approaching that opening moment right now. Does not have DRS just yet. Will have to send it on the inside. Does do so. There's a bit of contact. And Aleander going through, an Oxlade providing the action here as he goes through a Scotty Demon off track. And has to try again. Oxlade, like I said before, that pace of that Ferrari is just insane. He's going to make it 2 in 1 sector. Going on the inside, has a wheel side by side, has a good exit there. Aleander holding on just barely as DRS is enabled. And Oxlade will have to straight line it. Has the inside for turn 1, is technically ahead. But Aleander still has a foot in and not anymore. Oxlade, the Ferrari, up into P3. Now the one to chase back the lead. Falcon still has to pit. So Asbatady, currently the net race leader in second place. 3 seconds behind the P1. And Oxlade 2 seconds behind P2. Also, does not have to pit anymore. 1 lap cleaner tires. So not that much of a difference. But look at the pure pace difference between the McLaren and the Ferrari. Currently 2 second gap. We're going to check back in just 1 lap and see what the difference will be as they're currently heading on to Sector 2. Falcon's got a 3.5 second gap. Scotty trying to fight back a little bit after that mistake that he's had before. But I think Aleander doing a great job defending so far.
I was about to say about Falcon's gap as well. I mean, how long we've been racing green since the safety car? What, 3 laps?
I think it has been
3 laps.
3, lap 8, 9, and now lap 10.
Yeah.
He's got pulled 4 second gap.
4 second gap. So I think even though he's probably, I say is he on the wrong tyre though, because he potentially isn't on the wrong tyre, but I just think it's got, oh my god,
It's got it going on the inside.
Absolutely straight line the chicane in sector 1, I believe it is. Yeah, sector 1, just before sector 2. Absolutely straight lined it and no warning, absolutely nothing.
That should, straight line the chicane should be at least a 10-second penalty, I believe, through here. Scotty does make the overtake happen up to P4.
Straight through it.
And Darren is heading into the pits.
To take it.
Darren is in, so the final soft runner has used 10 laps of this tire, is now in, going for a set of mediums, trying to make that medium tire last towards the end. If that's 15 laps on that tire, that means that Falcon still has some laps to go in that compound. But if you look back to Oxlade, only 1 lap after we called, already 7/10 gained on the McLaren ahead. So there's going to be 1 more lap until it catches him, potentially even less. And then it's just a clean DRS overtake down in the final straight. Already 1.2 seconds, 1.1. Going to make it quite early. Will be within a second of the McLaren if he keeps it up at the DRS detection point. Currently almost within. Going to the point. Does not get within a second, just barely. So does not have the DRS. Will get the slipstream a tiny bit here at the back to maybe secure that net race lead.
Halo's off again, straight line the chicane again. Just watch him do it again. Absolutely straight lined it. He's not even attempting to take bends. He's straight lining them and not getting any warnings, penalties, nothing. He's 2 stops now as well. Gone on to another set of softs. Like I'm literally just watching him drive straight through chicanes. It's honestly, I can't quite believe what I'm seeing, if I'm totally honest. Honestly.
Oxlade getting real close to that McLaren now. Will have to make some shenanigan overtakes if he wants to do it in Sector 1. Most likely going to stick back a little bit. Will take the chicane properly. unlike some other drivers that we've been seeing. It looks like Aspartate's made a small mistake. He lost a lot of momentum. Oxlade going around the outside. Won't even need to get too much done here. Has more speed as one does on the outside. Aspartate not able to keep up. He is able to keep up. Still has the wheel in as he's got the inside line on the left-hander now onto the right one. And will have the position just barely, and Oxlade having to try again. So we're going to see who has the DRS approaching the zone. And it looks like it is Oxlade using all of that overspeed going into the following turns. 22 and 23. Does not yet get the overtake done.
If you can, just try and go on board with Halo now. I just want to see if he's going to do the straight lining through here again.
Very twitchy on the rear. Does take it normally this time.
Hasn't done it that time.
Oxlade getting the move in the final corner, getting that second position, and net first as Falcon goes in from the mediums and chooses to go onto a set of hards. So there's about 12 laps remaining.
Yeah, I think
he's going to the hards.
The hards are going to be lovely. He's had to go hards. He can't take softs to the end from here, really. I mean, he could if he goes really aggressive, but he doesn't need to. He can play it easy, take the set of hards. They still feel lovely at the end of the race, and just let them drive him through the rest of the race, to be honest. So I think, yeah, perfect strategy for him. He'd come back through the field easily, if I'm honest, and I still think that there's going to be cars ahead of him that are going to have to box again. So, yeah, good call, I think.
Looks like Scotty will indeed need to pit again. 8 laps on that medium. Does not have another 12 laps in it. Should be able to pit again. So that's one position for Falcon. Gain for free. But he's got about 14 seconds onto Oxlade and Aspartate, who might need to pit again. I don't believe these hards, if you're looking at the wear already on the mediums, if we're going to pit around 12 laps in on the mediums, I don't think these hards can last 20 laps completely. So these two front runners will indeed need to pit again. And Falcon then in the prime position to win it all, as the top two are now fighting and losing each other time. Oxlade will get the DRS onto the back straight. Very close to that McLaren so far. Waiting for the flap to open. And there it is. Already passed before he even opened the flap. We'll get the position and the race lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix going into turn 1 of lap 14.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few strategies going on here at the moment as well. I think certainly the people in prime position are Falcon, and I don't think we can count out Alexander as well in P6 on a fresh set of mediums. He could take them to the end very easily, and depending on what Oxlade and the guy in P2 decide to do, and also Scotty decide to do, Alexander from P6 could quite easily find himself in P2 at the end of this race.
Yeah, if we look at currently the tires, if everyone that's currently on 9 or 8 laps old tires will still have to pit, then Alexander is indeed looking like a prime podium contender. Darren currently in P7 will have to make those mediums last a little bit longer. Halo will have to pit once again. Those softs are not making it to the end without absolutely demolishing themselves and maybe even getting a puncture. And we don't want to see another safety car happening again, as we've only got about 11 laps remaining of this race. Oxlade stretching the gap, already pulling out of DRS range. Now Leander has caught up to the AlphaTauri and the tire difference. Look at that. Fresh mediums to old hards. That is the difference that we're seeing. And Leander now having to pull a gap, will need to defend, as we're going to see some DRS action in just a moment. Aspartate in the pits, as Falcon has set the fastest lap on the new hards, a 1:31.4. That's faster than some drivers' qualifying time that we've seen. And Aspartate on the mediums, going out and getting out in P4, will be behind Falcon but ahead of Leander. So P2 might not be in the cards for the Aston Martin, but P3 looking like a real deal.
I think P2 could still be Oh yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you're saying now. But I was just watching Aleander as well. He went past Rafster like lightning, has absolutely dropped him. Of course, Rafster's on a 10 lap old set of hards. But another thing I noticed as well, when Aleander pulled the move, he actually slightly went off track, and it ghosted his car, and it enabled the clean racing between the two of them. So I certainly want to check about the race settings, just so we know what they are. But I think, yeah, I think we just need to check the actual race settings themselves. But certainly some very favourable assists are enabled.
As Falcon is currently pulling ahead into P2 as Scotty is going into the pits. We're going to see what the gap will be between Asbatady and Scotty. Scotty currently still in for a stop. Asbatady going across the line will take P3 for now. We'll have to use those mediums to his absolute best efforts to catch up to Falcon, and Oxlade will have to pit once more. So if Asbatady, the longer that Oxlade waits, the more Asbatady is going to gain on these front runners, and the easier it will be to grab that podium position, and then all he has to do is defend. So if Oxlade moves over to a new set of softs, Asbatady goes very wide there on the chicane. Oxlade will have to make some overtakes happen, but we've seen the pace difference before. Oxlade absolutely slamming it, that Ferrari, from last to first in a single stint time. Some of them on pit stop overtakes, but most of them on the track. We might be able to see a good run there as well. Scotty with the new mediums down into P4 will have to chase down the top as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've just been looking at the Falcon Oxlade deltas. To be honest, at the moment they're pretty stable. You know, Oxlade's actually doing a very, very good job. Yes, he's losing a tenth here or there at the moment, but if he could keep this pace up towards the end of the race, Oxlade's actually got a very, very good chance of keeping the lead of the race. But as I say that now, all of a sudden Falcon's just demolished nearly a sector out of him in sector 1. So yeah, I think yeah, Falcon's putting the hammer down now.
He's got the purple first sector, so he might be looking to get another fastest lap. Oxlade will have the cleaner tires on the end, but getting there is one, overtaking is another. So he might be able to pull back into P3, which is what it looks like after a stop. But he'll have to overtake the McLaren and the Red Bull to get the lead of the race. As Rafster is going from the hards onto the softs for this final bit. Also a purple sector 2 for Falcon. Absolutely dropping the hammer, like you said. Almost want to say it's hammer time, but it's got the wrong team currently in view. As there's only 6.6 seconds. It was 9 seconds at the start of this lap. So he's almost chunked out about 2.5 seconds in a single lap. So that means only 3 more laps and he's already passed. 2 if he catches him in the final sector. Because that DRS is definitely going to help him. 1:31.0.
And there you go.
Chopping down 3 seconds in a single lap.
Yeah, Falcon's put the hammer down. Oxlade, I mean, it looked like he was going well, if I was honest. The lap I watched him, there was no difference between the two of them, but certainly this lap, Falcon said, no, come on, I'm coming to get you, and that's certainly what he's doing. So Oxlade needs to watch as he totally straight lines that chicane and gets away with it. Jeez. There you go.
And Oxlade will be pitting soon, hopefully, for a new set of softs, as the gap is decreasing and decreasing. So soon enough, he's going to be losing time for defending from Falcon. The gap down to 4.5 seconds, already halved in 1.5 laps, which is absolutely insane. The gap to P3 all the way up to 16 seconds. So if Oxlade pits, he might be getting into P3, or he might be getting back to P2, because the gap is about 19, 20 seconds down to P3,
Yeah, the trouble
which is
is
just about the time that you lose.
P3's catching him. P3's catching him as well, Wap. So if Oxlade needs to defend his P3, oh sorry, his P2, he's gonna have to do it.
He's still staying
He's gonna have to box. He's got a box. He's got a box. He's got to come in for a set of softs because it's gonna get. Oh no, he's not gonna catch him that quick. No, forget that. He won't catch him that quick.
To be fair, I think if Oxlade pits now, he's got a big chance of dropping down to P3. But if he stays out on these hards, he might just be getting away with murder and staying in P2. While Asbatady needs to catch about 20 more seconds.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Oxlade. So staying out might actually be more beneficial.
Yeah, I think you're right. Staying out it's close. It's so close. But yeah, I think staying out is definitely the way to go. And now Falcon, look at that time.